Hello and welcome back to another episode of Speak Up. I am so excited today. You know, Televida and Exo Films have been just perfect for our community and what we're doing as far as being able to talk about what goes on in the Black community. So today, I happen to be sitting in the sanctuary of the church that I grew up in. It is 116 years old, and it is the anchor of the Kansas City Jazz District. The church that I'm sitting in is the historic Centennial United Methodist Church. And I am even more excited because I get to talk to the first female lead pastor in 116 years. And also, it's her first commission. I want you to just listen, enjoy, and hear more about who we are, what we do on this corner, and how this pastor is bringing change and uplifting our community. I want to introduce you to Pastor Reverend Danielle Quinn, and she is also, like everybody else, and this is true, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Welcome to Speak Up, and thank you for agreeing to be interviewed and do this interview.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
It is a blessing.
So, you know, when we talk about Centennial and Centennial being historic, the thing that I find, because I'm a history buff, I like history, and one of the things I read some years ago was that Centennial is one of the only originally owned Black churches. It has always been Black owned.
Yeah.
And it has been on this corner for 116 years, and it's part of the National Historic Register. So what did that mean to you when the conference said, we're sending you to Centennial?
When they said that they were sending me to Centennial, I thought, what a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
However, I am smart enough to know that there would be not challenges, but that there would be growing edges for both myself and Centennial. Centennial has a storied history. People have put a lot into this church.
Yes.
There was a time when the church maybe was not collecting as much money as they needed to. And people actually mortgaged their homes to make sure that the church was able to meet its bills. So I knew I was coming to a place of excellence and faithfulness. I also knew that I was coming to a people who really believed that God and the church could still make a difference in the lives of their community.
Yes.
And they were willing to stake their all on that.
Yes.
And so, to say the least, I felt what a big responsibility it would be.
Yeah.
But I also felt an excitement to be with people who were excited about God.
Yes.
And it was not just perfunctory, but it was deep down in their souls. So I really was excited. I recognized the challenges that lie ahead for both of us, because you have to balance your history with your future, and you can't let your history drag you back down.
Right.
We live in a new reality, be it because of the pandemic or just the fact that it's 2022, about to be 2022.
Yeah.
And so really wanting to help us use our history as a springboard and as a place of grounding, but not as a weight.
Yeah.
Right? An anchor is great until you get caught up in it.
Right.
And then you drown.
Then you drown.
So wanting to make sure
that
we had the flexibility we needed to be a resilient community, a community that can live into the future.
Yeah. And, you know, and with churches today, most members or parishioners that come to church, they don't live in the community, especially in the Black community, where they worship.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely do you see in any of our big churches or any of our community churches, the community in there. So I know that when you came in, it was like, for me, it was like a breath of fresh air. You know, God had sent this new thing, and you came in and looked at the community. I remember we walked around the church, and we drove around the community, and we prayed. And the thought was, how do we bring the community and remind them that they have an anchor right here and that we're here for them? What's your vision for doing that? What are some of the things you're getting ready to do? Let's say that.
Well, I think one, for us, there are a couple of pieces that have to be in place. We have to remind ourselves that Centennial is not for Centennial, but Centennial is God's idea and God's plan and has to do God's work. And so that means for us letting go of some of the things that we value most that we might make room for others. So we tend, and it's part of any religious community really, to get rooted and anchored in our traditions. But sometimes we have to re-tradition, right?
Which has been done over and over.
over and over throughout the church's history. That's how we managed to keep going, right?
Yes.
We have to look at our traditions anew. And make them fit for our current context. And so I'm glad you asked me that question. So in the short term, we're trying to do programming that will attract the community. So for instance, Christmas, we're doing Jazz in the Sanctuary. So it will be a Christmas celebration. And we've done Jazz in the Sanctuary here before. But instead of the preached word, we will just allow ourselves to sit with the scriptures of the season. Right? And we will invite different community members to read those scriptures. And we will enjoy the sacred jazz music brought to us by people like jazz artists like Sarah Williams. And just allow us to really let what Christmas means, the incarnation of God, the incarnation of God, God taking on human flesh and living with us.
I love that because, you know, we do get caught up in the pageantry of Christmas, but the meaning and what it reflects, what it really reflects, the birth of Christ, what that really meant to the world. I think the pageantry has overshadowed that. I love that. So.
And so it'll become as you are.
It'll become as you are.
It'll become as
so
you are.
You want to come in here in your jeans and your Chiefs jerseys or your sweatshirts and hoodies and
sit where you will.
And sit where you will. Absolutely sit where you will.
And of course, as always, because it's Christmas, it wouldn't be Christmas without a little bit of coffee, right?
A little coffee, a little hot chocolate.
A little hot chocolate, a little bit of tea. And really just allow us to be in the presence of what is holy. And part of where we see what is holy is in the face of our community.
Oh, absolutely.
So a church is never a church without the community. You are right about the commuter aspect, even of our church. And it's really not just our church. And so the important thing is that we are flexible enough, we are open enough, we are hospitable enough so that our community feels like this is not just our home, but it is their home.
It is their home.
And so in the short term, we are also partnering with other local nonprofit organizations. We are also looking to strengthen currently existing partnerships with schools like Lincoln, Longfellow. We are looking to do everything from being part of the citywide Coke giveaway, which we just were a part of that, to doing blessing bags and a blessing closet. So we want to be a blessing. We want to be in fellowship. We're not a charitable organization.
No, but not by a long shot.
We are the fellowship. Church. We are a fellowship.
We are a fellowship. And
so,
you know, and honestly, fellowship to me overshadows charity.
Most definitely.
That's what the church was and has always been. And I think that's a part of tradition that we got away from.
And we need to reclaim it, right?
That's a piece of tradition we need to reclaim.
We need to reclaim.
Yes.
So this idea that we're not just handing you things. But that we are with you in your journey as you try to find shelter, as you try to find food, as you try to find a place to be a home. Because we recognize that God is home for all of us.
And you know, we talk about feeding the hungry. I always it was like a light came on one day. You're handing out food and there's lines of people and everybody wants food. But when God talks about feeding the hungry, it is more than bread. It is feeding the soul.
Always love that. That's exactly right.
Feeding the soul.
It is feeding the soul. So yes, you can't come to me and say I'm hungry and I say, well, go pray and see what happens. Or change, right? But I also you can't come to me and say I'm hungry and I say, well, here's your $10, bye. Right? Because oftentimes, and we know, have as a people who have struggled with poverty within our
Yes.
community for
Yes.
since we got here, right,
Yes.
in 1619. We know that so much of our nation is built around an anti-poor mentality. And we make poor folk outsiders.
Yes.
And for God and for Christ, poor people are an essential part
Yes.
of the community.
Yes.
And there is a love for their struggles.
Yes.
Our Savior could have come and been a wealthy king.
Yes.
Instead, he came
Yes.
as a poor, brown, really convict.
Yeah.
With not a lot of power.
Yeah.
But with a great deal of spiritual power.
Yes.
That built the church. So,
wow. You know, you sit here and preach the sermon. You know, right?
Oh no, get to preach
So, you know, and just full disclosure, I had the pleasure of being selected to be on the board of the pastor parish relations and of the church at the chair, and so that gives me like just a seat at her feet most of the time, and just the conversations that we're able to have about the growth of the church and how do we make this happen, and how do you have that balance, because that's got to be the difficult part, because you don't want our church members who have been dedicated and have put everything they have into the church to feel like they're being pushed out by something new coming in. But you don't want the doors to be shut to the people coming in, because you stand a chance of being almost like the Pharisees and the Sadducees. You have good intentions, but your good intentions are paving the way to hell.
Yeah, paving the way to hell. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, you know, I think it is a balance that the church has always struggled to maintain, right? And so we won't be any different.
Yeah.
Our hope is that the Spirit will guide.
Yeah.
That through prayer, through what we call in the Methodist Church means of grace, through our general rules, that will be our anchor that allows us to do a both and. So in the Methodist Church, the 3 general rules are very simple. Do no harm. Do all the good you can at every opportunity you can. And stay in love with God. So that means doing things that keep you connected to the breath of life. And so I think that as long as we are holding on to that which makes us uniquely who we are as Christians, I think we can do both. Because you need rich and poor alike for the church to be successful.
Absolutely.
And our community, this 18th and Vine community, is changing. We know that I think it's by 2032, it'll be a predominantly white community with an average income of something around $80,000. So we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And I think wealthy or poor, black or white, we need to recognize that everybody needs to feel loved.
Yes.
Everybody needs to feel welcome.
Yes.
Everybody needs to find a seat at the table. And I think as an African American church, we are we're in a particular position to recognize and embrace that part of ourselves. I always think of our hymns, I'm going to sit at the welcome table. I'm going to sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. So we know what it's like to need to feel welcome and to be welcome to the table.
Yeah.
So not just to eat, but to have voice.
Wow.
For all of us.
You need to know she sings too.
Not very well.
Oh, yes, she does. Yes, she does. She sings very well. And I appreciate having a senior pastor. Because I can't. But so, when I talk about Centennial, I love Centennial. I was we say baptized now. When I was coming up, it was christened. Right here at this altar. My children, I was married at this altar. And when you're a baby, you come in and they give you your rights. And I can go down and look on memory hall at the pastors and go, "Ooh, you way down the line."
Yeah.
But the thing that I love about Centennial is that I was able to walk back in here and feel a sense of home. And but also in our sense of home, it kind of reminded me when my children were growing up and I was becoming my mother
Yeah.
with her rules and regulations. And I had to adjust to today or their day because my mother had to adjust to my day and her mother had to adjust to her day. And if we go back through history, uh, we've even had to adjust from the way Christ walked
Mm-hmm.
in order, because God said, I need you, not me, not him. I need you to go out into the world and make disciples of Jesus Christ. And so that meant utilize your skill to reach the people where they are.
Yes.
And what I love about you and coming in here, you have a sense of balance. Uh, your love is just like, I love everybody, and we're gonna figure this out together. We're
Yeah.
not gonna we're not gonna figure this out separate. We're gonna figure it out together. And how do we do that? So let's talk a little bit about how does it feel to be the first, and this is 2022, and we're still talking about first and all over the place. But how does it feel to be the first female senior pastor at a historic Black church? And then this be your first commission. You didn't even get the chance
To get my
to
feet
test
wet.
the water.
Come on, to test the water.
Yeah.
Let me just say, if I think of it in those terms, it can be just a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I try not to think of it in those
Okay, I'm
terms.
sorry.
It's all right. No, I try to think of it as daily. God, what would you have me do?
Yes.
I try to show up daily for God.
Yes.
And I believe that with God's guidance, I actually show up for the people.
Yeah.
One of my biggest growing edges is that I do love to be in control of everything.
Yes.
So God is teaching me through this community that I can't control every little bit,
Yes.
that I have to trust that my 1% will be magnified by the Holy Spirit's 99.
Yes.
And I have to rest
Yes.
in her work.
Yes.
I have to rest in those things
Yeah.
that she does, just as she came over Mary, and from Mary,
Yes.
God came, right?
Yes.
I have to be confident that she will come over me.
Yeah.
And through me,
Yeah.
God will continue to be renewed in this community.
Absolutely.
So I recognize my 1%.
Okay.
And just as Mary said yes, I say yes to the Holy Spirit.
Right. Absolutely.
And I try to say yes to the Holy Spirit every day
Every
and not get in the way of what God is doing.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that I don't have calendars and I don't make plans.
Mm.
I definitely do
Yes.
that.
Oh yeah, you do.
But I always make
I'm on
sure
board.
that those plans are not only just bathed in prayer, but that I pray before I write them. I pray before I present them, and that I am open to the Spirit and others saying, well, maybe not right now,
Yeah.
maybe later.
Maybe later.
And that is okay.
Yeah. So you're married with 3 beautiful children. You said yesterday that, what did you say? Something about the quiver having 5 or
Yeah,
more.
blessed is the man whose quiver is full, quiver is 5, but I had to stop at 3. Yeah. I have 3 beautiful children, and I do manage, as any pastor, male or female, should be managing, being present with my family, being available to my family, and being available to this extended family,
Yes.
which is Centennial, and then a greater family, right?
Yes.
Which is this community.
Yes.
So definitely at my core is being available to my family.
Yes.
And so, they're here. They support me.
Yes, they do.
They give me lots of love. They are flexible with me because they know I'm not perfect.
Yes.
But I don't try to make my call their call.
And that's so beautiful. That is so beautiful, because that's been the mistake
Yeah.
of many before us. And it's not, and when I say a mistake, I don't mean it in a negative, because they meant well. They know what, I remember when I answered my call, or when I'll go even further back. When the very first time that I felt the Spirit of God in me, And new Christians, even though you grow up in church and you get baptized because your mama says it's about time for you to go up there and walk up to the front and join the
Get
church.
baptized.
You don't get it. But when you get it, you think everybody should get it.
Yeah.
And you think everybody should know,
Yeah.
oh, you better get on.
Yeah.
And it is not about their walk, it's about your walk.
Mostly.
So I think that's beautiful that you are allowing them, you're showing them the path,
Yeah.
but you are allowing them to choose.
Yeah.
As God gave us. God gave us choice.
Yeah.
And
and that doesn't mean that I don't have expectations.
Right. Oh, no,
I am a Christian mother, so I have expectations.
Yes.
Prayer,
Oh, yes.
Scripture reading.
Yes.
That you're in church somewhere. If
Yes.
this is not where you're being fed, you need to go where you can be fed.
Yes.
And you need to be consistent, and you need to be present
Yes.
wherever that church may be.
Yes.
But the blessing is they feel like they're being fed here.
That's a blessing.
So that's a blessing. They
Yeah.
feel welcome.
Yes.
And so that is a blessing. And then my husband.
Can somebody say, God bless Charles Queen? Please, can somebody say,
God bless Charles Queen.
God bless Charles Queen. Okay, back to your husband.
God bless Charles
I love
Quinn.
Charles.
I love Charles Quinn too. He is one who makes it possible. He clears the road for me.
Yes. Yes.
And that is such a blessing, and it
Yes.
is an honor.
Yes.
He clears the road for me.
Yes.
Even when I'm horribly ungrateful, he still clears the road for me.
God sent you what you need.
And helps me carry my burdens, and is always praying for me.
Yeah.
So without my family, for me, I don't know how possible my ministry would be, because I need them.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. Again, I can't say enough about even just looking at watching how the family and you just kind of slid in the slot. And it is unbelievable that you've only been here since July.
I know.
Because anybody that walks in here as active as Charles is, as active as Hananiah and Micah and Bella are, as active as they are, you would not have thought that they just got here.
Yeah.
They are very active, but that's the Spirit of God working.
Yeah, definitely the Spirit of
through
God
you.
at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at work in the congregation.
At work I am so excited. So I was talking to one of our other parishioners, and we were having training on Saturday, and I even told him that I am so excited to see the move that we're going to make transitioning as a church and as a community, and at what God is going to do with us on this corner. If you sit and be still, and I'm fortunate because I am in pastoral studies and I am your liturgist, so I get to sit here on Sundays up here, but to see just the transformation of the spirit around the church, it is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
And then the inclusion of the members who are never said no.
Mm-hmm.
So what you find is some of these people have just been waiting to be asked.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something else she brought, that example to me of this is how we bridge the gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's,
And I'm hoping that we can also bridge the gap with our larger community, right?
Yes.
So there's some things that we can do with our local businesses, right?
Yes.
We can offer coupons, where the church gives $5 off a haircut, right?
Yeah.
That you can go around the corner and do.
Yes. And we got 2 barbers around.
Yeah,
the
we got
corner.
a couple barbers. So either way, things to let our community know that we're here and that we're here for them.
Yes.
And let the local businesses know that we're here and we're here for them as well. If it's that you want to have an employee luncheon in the fellowship hall, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If it's whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
So that we become embedded in this
Absolutely.
community. I would love it if our membership could be predominantly within walking distance.
Within that, wouldn't that be beautiful?
No, that would be.
Oh my God, that would be so beautiful.
I would be over the moon.
Yeah. So you mean I can move down here, right?
Yeah, everybody, come on,
Well,
move down.
I'm not that far.
Move back. Come on, you're not that far. You're only
But
7 minutes. Yeah.
I do like the ideal of having people that can walk to church.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of residents around here. Mm-hmm. We're having new residential housing coming
being
up.
Built. Yeah.
And so we do want to be the anchor. And I always like to tell this story because, it's always good to have a celebrity.
Yeah.
And our organ over here,
Mhm.
um, Centennial has been an anchor for a very long time.
Yeah.
So our jazz musicians would
Yeah.
play all night and then go to the jazz
Musicians.
musicians foundations and
Yeah.
play until early morning and walk across the parking lot
Mhm.
pre the fence
Yeah.
and come and play the organ for the choir and
Yeah.
then go to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, they're in where we did not judge.
Yeah.
We did not judge
Yeah.
people,
Mm.
and we were. And I'm hoping that we are like that now on this corner. I'm praying that we continue in that spirit of not judging people by what they're wearing or how they look or their color or whatever it is that causes people to be afeared.
Mhm.
We have to open these doors
Yeah.
and bring them back. So, Mr. Cal Basie,
Yeah.
hit those keys over there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's nothing short of like, okay,
A
this
wonder.
has real history.
Yeah,
Real
yeah,
history.
and it's a wonder. And I think you're right. We have to work. We have to work on building welcome and not walls.
Yes,
And I think that sometimes the things that protect us also fence us in.
yes,
Right.
yes.
So, and I
Oh,
agree with
that was
you.
good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. And so I'm sure that God has 1,000 ways for us to be free of our
Yes.
walls.
Yes,
We just have to be open to letting God tell us when, how of taking them down. God doesn't even know us a why,
yeah,
but just the when and how to take them down. And we have to be open to that. Yes, we
Yes.
know we spend a lot of money on that fence,
yeah.
but it might be time.
It might be time to take that fence down.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting close to winding down.
Excellent.
I do want to say I appreciate you so much. I feel
Ditto.
like I try to live in spirit, and I always believe that God, in everything that God does,
Yeah,
it's good.
always.
I may not understand it, and I'm really trying to remember to never lean into my understanding.
Mhm.
If God sends us a leader at this church, I'm going to follow the lead.
Yeah.
And until that lead start taking us somewhere.
Yeah.
But God has, I trust God so much.
Yeah.
I don't think He would ever do that.
Yeah.
I think that anybody that came into this church that was not of God, it would be revealed immediately. But the Spirit of God has always protected Centennial, and I believe it will continue.
Yeah.
I want you to look in that camera and tell people where they can come and hear a word from God through you on Sunday morning and any other day, and any other things we got coming up that you want the community to know.
Yeah. So we're right here on 1834, 18th and Woodland, right on that corner. Come on in. Also Facebook and YouTube. I think it's a historic Centennial.
Centennial.
Yeah,
Mhm.
historic Centennial United Methodist Church. I think it's historic CUMC. So Facebook us, YouTube us, and just like us, right? And I also think, and not that you have to like us, you know what I mean. And I think
Like us.
also you're welcome to come down for Breakfast in the Bible at 9 a.m. through the Christmas season. You're welcome to come for Jazz in the Sanctuary. Christmas Eve, we're going to have a free meal, and music from the Oliver School of Music. You're welcome to come and join us. Everything is casual, and you are welcome.
So this ends another episode of Speak Up. We want to thank Televida for this opportunity. I cannot say enough about Televida and how genuine you've been. Genuine. Genuine. Generous.
Genuine.
I want to say generous.
Generous.
Generous in giving this space and this time for me to be able to just speak up, talk about my community and all the things that happen in it. It is important that we rebuild our ecosystem. I remember when I was a kid and before then, the church has always been the place where the ecosystem came together and we discussed anything that was going on. The church is the place, and we just need to get back to it. Can we get our leadership back into the church basement so we can talk about education, so we can talk about housing, so we can talk about faith, so we can talk about anything that we need to talk about, healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank Pastor Daniel Quinn for giving us this time and also leading this community. And we want to invite you to 1834 Woodland, the historic Centennial United Methodist Church. We're located on the corner of 19th and Woodland, and we have a nice big parking lot in the back.
On 18th and Woodland.
We're on the corner of 19th, though.
Oh, are we?
Yeah. See, I had to teach our pastor where we are. So our address is 1834, but we sit on the corner of 19th. We have a big parking lot in the back, parking lot on the side, and the whole street.
Yeah.
So please, 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 feel free to come and join us. We have new ministries coming up. You will see us again. I will be speaking up again from Centennial soon. Young adults, we're looking for you. Babies and children, welcome. Thank you again, and have a blessed week. Say hello to anyone you meet and be a blessing. Thank you.